Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Today is the start of another week, another 4 weeks, another day. So good morning. This is Department of Career Services, where we are here to help our students and interested people on as they experience this life. My name, as always, is Edward Bevilacqua. And we've got a big show. We got 4 red letter topics. So again, this is day 1 of week 1 of our neuroscience approach to success. Daniel Amen will just quickly talk about that. So this course, this 4-week course, available on Amazon. This 4-week course, 4 weeks, 7 days a week, is designed to help each of us answer 2 questions. 2 questions. Who am who am I, and why do I behave the way I do? That's it. 2 questions. Who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? And the idea is that if I can answer those 2 questions, then I can decide who I need to be right now in order to maximize my effectiveness. And we break that down over 4 weeks. So the first week is overview, orientation, and overview. What are we doing here? Week 2, inside my skull-sized kingdom. How does my brain work? It's the neuroscience. Week 3, it's getting other people to help me because I can't do it on my own. And number 4 is don't screw the pooch. Leadership. Now that I know what I'm doing, I know what my plan is, I know how my brain works, I've got people to help me. Now what I need to do is just execute. I need to go out and do it. So that's the 4-week course. It doesn't matter when you start. You could start on day 4 of week 4. And as you go through it, you, yeah, right. So it all works. And we've been doing this consistently since 2013, probably. So for 12 years. Wow. Okay, cool. Day 1, week 1. What are we doing? So you have to answer a fundamental question. Was the universe created? Are we just atoms in the void? If the universe spontaneously came into existence, we're probably just atoms in the void. It doesn't mean we can't make something of ourselves, but at the end of the day, nothing really matters, right? Because we're just atoms in the void. There's no objective right or wrong. It's just different strategies that are more or less successful. Like you don't want to do something that's going to end up getting you arrested and spending your whole life in prison, right? Or dead. At the same time, you don't want to spend 100 years of pain and suffering for no reason. So here we choose to believe, based upon a preponderance of the evidence, that we do have a soul that continues after death, and that Jesus was the God in the form of man, and that he came, as he said, he came to help people, to tell people what to do if they want to become one with he and the Father, the co-creator, one of the creators, the part of the triune God. If we want to be one with him, you need to follow his commandments. Or as he said, if you love me, you will follow my commandments. And he spent 3 years walking around telling people what to do and showing people what to do and how to behave. So we believe that we do have a transcendent soul that continues after that Jesus was God in the form of man, and that he came down to tell us how to behave, what is important. He gave us commandments, and we are required to follow his commandments if we want to be one with him and God. Pretty basic. The convoluted, we're sinners, and God had to make a way for us to have salvation because he just couldn't decide to do it. He had to make a way. He had to have a way to make us expiate our sin, but we couldn't expiate the sin, so he had to send his son to expiate the sin for all people, past, present, and future. But we continue to be sinners, but that's okay, because now, since Jesus came down and sacrificed himself for us, now all we have to do is just say is 1 John 1:9, to confess our sins, and he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Okay, so that's kind of a convoluted thing, and if you enter that thought with the idea of, I just have to remember what they're saying. I don't have to stop saying, does that make sense? The creator of the universe can't just forgive us because we're sinners. So he needs to send down his son to die for us so that we can be in square with God once again. But we're never going to be square because we're imperfect humans. So we're going to continue to sin. But now if we sin, we just have to say, I'm sorry. And everything will be okay. And if you step back and think about it, it's like, that doesn't really make sense. What does make sense is what Jesus actually said. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. And you will go out and make disciples of all people, and you will teach them what I have commanded you. That makes sense. And then if you look at what he said, it actually makes sense. Love God with all your heart and mind and soul, and love one another as I have loved you. And number 3, make disciples of all nations. So 1 and 2 are pretty self-explanatory. 1 and 3 are pretty self-explanatory. Number 2, love one another as I have loved you. Well, what are we supposed to do there? Well, feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, give shelter to the unhoused, help the sick, visit people in prison. Corporal works of mercy, and bury the dead. That's what we are commanded to do. Help those less fortunate. Okay, so that's why we're here. We're here to help people experience life. We've got a big, big show today. We've got a really big shoe. We've got 4 red letter things. Let's start with advice from an 80-year-old. Become the most positive and enthusiastic person you know. Right. Have an attitude of gratitude. I'm lucky to be alive. I'm lucky that I can be thinking. Okay, next. Let's start with our theme. The theme of today is big fish or fast fish. This comes from Darren Hardy. Red letter down below. Big fish or fast fish. So there's a lot of VUCA going on. What? What's VUCA? VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. A lot of VUCA going around. Oh, by the way, shout out to Miss Trinkle. Hello, Miss Trinkle, wherever you are. Yeah, so a lot of VUCA going around. What do we do about it? So Darren Hardy says you need to be able to respond. It's not the big fish that's going to survive. It's the fast fish. And the same can be said for when the asteroid hit the Earth and we had an extinction. Sorry, but it's true. And most life was wiped out, but not the shrews, not the mammals. So the dinosaurs got wiped out. Why? Well, they needed a lot of calories every day. The bacteria, and fungus, and small little plants that really just needed nutrients and sunlight, they did much better, even though there wasn't sunlight for a while, very little sunlight for a while. And the earth kind of froze over. But so it wasn't the big fish, it was the fast fish. Big fish become prey. One big fish dies because it starves to death, and a whole bunch of smaller fish are able to feed on it. Oops, oops, oops. Okay, so that's how we start with Darren Hardy. Be the fast fish. Don't be the big fish. Be the fast fish. And part of that would be sense of direction. We go to Daily Stoic. Robert Greene, guest, actually talking about let's not get so wrapped up in the moment. Ask yourself, in 6 months, how am I going to feel about this? Is it going to be a big deal 6 months from now? And the answer is probably not. Probably not. Yesterday we started talking about, or we talked a little bit about thinking in time, and 100 years compared to eternity. If eternity is only 13.8 billion years, the age of the universe, if that's eternity, 100 years is like 13.8 billion years if you're walking it. And every step is 1,000,000 years. It's going to take 13.8 billion divided by 1,000,000, 13,800 steps. And if you then multiply that by 3, 41,000 something, and you divide that by 5,280 feet in a mile, you find out that that's 7.84 miles. So the age of the universe is like 7.84 mile walk. And if you take that 1,000,000 years and you divide it by 100, or 100 years is 1/10,000th of a yard. 1/10,000th of a yard is about the width of a hair on your head. So our lives are about the width of a hair on our head compared to 7.84 mile walk. What does that mean? That means life is so short, nothing is that important compared to this. Would you put up with excruciating pain for the width of a hair on your head if you had a 7.84 mile walk of eternal happiness? Yeah, who wouldn't? Okay, it's the people who get wrapped up in the I want to have pleasure during this 100 years. I'm not thinking about that, the eternity. I'm thinking about right now. I want to have as much pleasure as I can. Those are the people that Jesus said, it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get to heaven. It can be done, but it's really hard because they're not focused on heaven, on becoming one with the Father. Their focus is hedonic pleasure. I want to have the good life. I want it now. And we see that playing out in the world today because Christianity is falling like a rock, which means people are not following the commandments of Jesus. Okay, where are we at? 15 minutes in. Okay, let's get back to our worksheet. So that's Darren Hardy. That is Daily Stoic, Seth's blog. Here's a good one. They're not paying me enough to care. This isn't an understandable sentiment, as jobs push people to be automatons and often offer little in the way of respect. It's easy to quietly quit. In other words, you just do the work for the paycheck. But perhaps they're not paying you enough to not care. Spending your days, day after day, not caring is tragedy. They might not deserve your focus and effort, but you do. Right. Don't waste this short amount of time doing things, acting in a way that you are not honoring the gift of life. Don't waste time. So if you're at a job where you say they're not paying me enough to care, you're wasting your life. Do something that's part of the adventure. Accentuate the pleasure. Okay. So that's Daily Stoic. That's Seth's blog. We talked about Darren Hardy. Be the fast fish. Live to fight another day. Honor the gift of life. Do something. Don't wait for something to happen to you. Sort of a pet peeve I have is people saying, I'm waiting for God to tell me what to do. I'm just staying in place. Jesus had a parable about that, which was giving people money to invest, the master. And one guy said, well, you're a tough master. I was afraid, so I just buried the money. Here it is back. You gave me this life, this gift of life. You gave me all of these emotions and dexterity and the ability to locomote. You've given me all of that, but I didn't want to do anything wrong, so I didn't really use it. I was waiting for you to tell me how to invest my time. And I figured since you didn't tell me that I should just wait. Oops, doesn't make sense, does it? Here's a gift, the most wonderful gift. Go make something happen. Well, I was afraid I might do the wrong thing, so I've just been here waiting patiently for you to tell me what to do. It's like, geez, man. Honor the gift of life. Okay. And lastly, we've got a few minutes to talk about week 1, day 1, brain scans. Okay, so what did we learn? Who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? Well, this is a neuroscience class, so we look at what is actually going on in your brain on a cellular level, and below that on a neurotransmitter level. So we're going to look at neurons, neurotransmitters, and the reticular activating system. The brain is the most complex thing in the universe. So we're making it really, really, really simple to the infinite power, simple as we can get. Neurons, what's stored in there, our lived past, anticipated future, ability to simulate things, our personality, things like that are stored in our brain. How do we know? Because if we damage our brain, they go away. If you have a stroke, that stuff goes away. If you have a gunshot wound to the head and you don't die, you are affected. Right. Okay. Neurotransmitters, all of our feelings come from the release of neurotransmitters. The reticular activating system is what it's constantly scanning all information available to us to support our beliefs. That's on Wednesday. But for now, today we want to understand the brain. If you damage the brain, it will affect your ability to function. And we'll learn from Daniel Amen that the brain is about the consistency of soft butter, and the skull has bony protrusions. And it's easy to damage the brain. He talks about 5 ways: alcohol, drugs, traumatic brain injury. Your brain slams against your skull. Boom, boom, bang, whatever. Traumatic brain injury, some kind of disease, or something growing on your brain, like a tumor or a cyst, where because we have this skull, something's growing on your brain, your skull isn't going to expand, so it's going to push on your brain, it's going to destroy neurons. It's going to affect your brain. Some kind of disease is going to affect your neurons also. Might kill them, might clog them, might whatever. And traumatic brain injury, talked about alcohol and drugs. So most of our people have had three or four of those things happening. So your brain is going to be affected. You can do a Brain Smart program, but we are out of time.